Welcome back. It's a farm with a rich American history dating back to one of the first governors of Maryland. The Wye Angus Plantation on the state's eastern shore has hosted dignitaries and heads of state. And it's now home to a cow herd owned by the University of Maryland. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brian Baxter has more from Queenstown, Maryland.
It goes back, William Paca, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence for Maryland, actually lived at this site. The manor house that you see in the background is actually the foundation of where that house is located is the original Paca house. So there's a lot of rich history here for Maryland as well as for the beef cattle industry.
The Paca family began the Wye Plantation back in 1765 before William, now buried on the site, was elected governor of Maryland. The plantation changed hands over the years, and in the 1970s, the Houghton family donated the land to the Aspen Institute and the cattle to the University of Maryland. The operation is also well known for its role in the Middle East peace negotiations in the mid-90s.
Yeah, this was during the Middle East peace negotiations in the 90s under the Clinton administration. The Aspen Institute was housed both sides of the debate. And so for about a week or 10 days, we had actually President Clinton flew in and landed in front of our office, and Madeleine Albright and others were here. So it really put this place on the map from an international point of view.
Today, the Wye Plantation works in conjunction with the University of Maryland on both research and education. It's also home to a herd of black Angus cattle and a unique genetic base.
Well, we were blessed to have a good base of genetics and milk producing, raising good calves on grass and bulls that are fertile. And that's what the industry is looking for and coming back to Wye. We were blessed when we came here to have a generous semen bank from back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So we pulled out some bulls which we've never seen. And we used them this year and to bring back some of the older breeding, what we think are nice functional bulls and cattle.
We kind of key in on the maternal traits, the sound functional female, and producing it on a consistent basis. So we want a good top line, good feet and legs, and a good udder. We want her to breed every year. We want to have a good temperament and last a long time. Our oldest cow will turn 19 in June.
And with a focus on genetics and longevity, it's not a surprise that the plantation has a successful sale each April.
We have an annual sale the first Saturday every April, and we sell yearling bulls, 10 cow-calf pairs, and 5 heifers. And that provides us the money for the day-to-day operation so we can manage the herd. And then we do research with the USDA and the University of Maryland Animal Science Department. And we manage all that as one cohesive group.
We got them from Florida to Montana to Texas, and they're all doing very well where they're at, and you're talking all totally different climates, from to heat extremes to extreme cold. And they are functioning good. And the majority of these cow calves we take out, like out to the Dakotas and Montana, they'll do better out there than they do here because of the climate. And they'll wean a better calf out there, but they want our genetics, and that's what we're producing.
These days, the environment is a top concern for the Wye Plantation. The Environmental Protection Agency is making changes to how the nearby Chesapeake Bay is regulated and maintained.
The Wye River is over to my right, to your left. It's a major a tributary of the Chesapeake Bay. A lot of agriculture around the Wye River, like in the Chesapeake Bay. So we're working with the ag community, including the animal sector, to develop practices that can keep their industries economically viable, but at the same time protect the Chesapeake Bay.
This farm is a peninsula, so we have water on 3 sides. So we've established a 75-foot buffer all the way around, and we fenced off all our streams using best management practices. It's been a little challenging, but it hasn't been as hard as we thought. You know, the 3 things we look for with cattle are feed, shade, and water. And if you fence out these areas, shade can become a little problem, but with a little thought, we can get it done. This is such an environmentally sensitive area with the bay, with the rockfish and the crabs, and we need to leave it better than we found it. And agriculture, right or wrong, gets a lot of the blame, and so we do as much as we can for conservation practices.
Well, with me being a waterman too on the side, the bay was so polluted, and with the practices that the farmers and we are doing here today, we're trying to reduce the nitrogen runoff and the phosphorus and all that. And with these buffer strips and the intest grazing, it cuts down on all that. And that way, the rockfish will come back, the crabs will come back, and the oyster population will come back. And that's, you know, I was born and raised here, and that's one of my goals I would love to see my kids and the next generation have that I've seen.
Well, my perception of this is we can have an economically viable agriculture, and we can address the issues related to the Chesapeake Bay through good research, extension, and outreach. And Maryland farmers have done a magnificent job of implementing best management practices, including the beef and animal industry with buffers, having setbacks from our rivers and streams, keeping cattle so they don't water in our rivers and streams. We provide waters, fence out sensitive areas, things of that nature, just sort of common sense things that are not really all that expensive but can have a huge impact on water quality.
It's that focus on the future that's kept the Wye Angus Plantation in business through the centuries. A balance between cattle health, quality genetics, and caring for the environment is what these cattlemen hope both their fellow producers and beef consumers will recognize for years to come.
As I say, going back to herd health, the more you vaccinate and the more you keep up to date on that, you will not have your sick animals, you'll have your production going up, and you'll not have no problems at all. And that's why we vaccinate 4 times a year. We worm, we put fly tags in. It takes a little time, but in the end, when those calves are weaned, you're getting more pounds at the end than if you're not doing it.
They know what they're getting when they come here. They know there's stability in the program, and they know that we always have the best interest in the cattlemen that buy our animals to make sure that they have a profitable business themselves. It's a closed cycle. We're dependent on good people buying our animals, and the people who buy our animals need the integrity and the reputation of our program so that they'll be interested in buying our Wye cattle.
In this area, one of our county agents did a study a few years ago, and within 200 miles of where we're standing, there's about 9 million people, and those 9 million people have to eat. So we have to think, as our population keeps growing, how are we going to feed all these people? And as we get more urbanization on the East Coast and West Coast, that kind of gets pushed into the middle. So while we're not Iowa or Illinois, we still make a significant contribution to the food supply.
Reporting from the Wye Angus Plantation in Queenstown, Maryland, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.